Do you ever feel stiff after waking up? If you're over 60, these are 6 movements to combat that stiffness you feel first thing in the morning. After 60, you wake up stiff. Your joints ache, your back is tight, and your first instinct is to move as little as possible until it loosens up. But that instinct is killing your mobility because morning stiffness isn't damage. It's a signal that your body needs movement. And movement isn't just exercise, it's medicine. These 6 moves are the prescription your body is asking for. Let's start with the first one. Movement 1. Ankle pumps. Your ankles are the first joints to lose mobility as you age, and they're also the foundation of your balance. This simple move wakes them up and gets blood flowing to your lower legs before you ask them to do anything complicated. Here's how you do it. Lie on your back in bed and slowly point your toes away from your body like you're pressing down on a gas pedal. Then flex your feet and pull your toes toward your shins. That's 1 rep. Do this 10 to 15 times and breathe naturally through your nose while you're doing it. This is answering your body's signal for circulation. You're lubricating those ankle joints before you ask them to support your full body weight, and that makes everything else you do today safer and easier. That gets your ankles ready, but if you don't couple it with this next move for your hips, you're missing half the equation. Movement 2. Single knee to chest. Your hips and lower back stiffen overnight because you've been in one position for 8 hours. This move gently opens up that entire chain, and it's still done right here in your bed. Stay lying on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the mattress. Slide one heel along the bed towards your bottom, then clasp that knee with both hands and gently pull it toward your chest. Hold this position for 10 to 30 seconds while you breathe deeply, then repeat on the other side. You're not stretching cold muscles here. You're signaling to your nervous system that it's safe to move. This is the medicine your lower back is asking for, and you'll feel the difference immediately in how your hips and spine respond. Now here's where most people make a critical mistake. They try to stand up right here, but your upper body isn't ready yet. Movement 3. Seated shoulder blade squeeze. Now you're going to sit up on the edge of your bed with your feet flat on the floor. Your upper back and shoulders have been rounded forward all night, so this move reverses that posture and activates your postural muscles. Sit tall and squeeze your shoulder blades together like you're trying to pinch a pencil between them. Hold that squeeze for 5 seconds, then release. Do this 10 times and keep breathing naturally the entire time. This isn't just about your shoulders, it's about waking up your entire posterior chain. Your body needs these muscles active before you stand because they're what keeps you upright and stable throughout the day. That wakes up your back, but there's one area most seniors completely ignore in the morning, and it affects everything you do with your hands all day. Movement 4. Wrist flexion and extension. Your wrists and forearms control everything you do with your hands. Opening jars, typing, cooking, getting dressed. They need circulation too, and this move takes less than a minute. While you're still seated, extend your arms out in front of you with your palms facing down. Gently bend your wrists upwards so your fingers point toward the ceiling. Then bend them downward so your fingers point toward the floor. Do this 10 to 15 times with smooth, controlled movements. This is movement as medicine for your hands. You're lubricating those small joints and activating the muscles you'll use all day long, and it makes a bigger difference than most people realize. Okay, now your body is ready to stand, but we're going to do it with support first because this next move prevents the #1 cause of morning falls. Movement 5. Side leg raises. Your hip abductors, the muscles on the outside of your hips, are critical for balance and preventing falls. This move activates them before you start walking around, and you'll do it standing behind a sturdy chair. Hold onto the chair with both hands, keep your body upright with your core engaged, and slowly lift one leg out to the side. Hold it briefly at the top, then lower it back down with control. Do 10 to 15 reps on each leg, and don't lean to the side while you're doing it. Stay tall. This is your body's signal for stability. You're telling your balance system to wake up and get ready to support you, and that's what keeps you safe when you're moving through your house or walking outside. That activates your balance, but the final move is what ties everything together. It's the transition from static to dynamic movement. Movement 6. Heel to toe rock. This final move integrates everything: your ankle mobility, your balance, your blood pressure regulation. It's the bridge between being stationary and moving through your day. Keep standing and holding the chair for balance. Rock forward onto the balls of your feet so your heels lift off the ground. Hold for 1 to 2 seconds, then rock back onto your heels so your toes lift slightly. Do this 10 to 15 times with smooth, controlled movements, and breathe naturally throughout. This is the final answer to your body's signal. You're regulating your blood pressure so you don't get dizzy, you're activating your calves, and you're preparing your entire system for upright movement. This is what makes the transition from bed to standing safe. Now, you've done all 6 moves, but here's why this sequence works when random stretching doesn't. Let me explain what just happened in your body, because understanding this changes everything. When you did those 6 moves in that specific order, you weren't just stretching. You were having a conversation with your nervous system. You answered your body's signal for movement, and you did it in a sequence that respects how your body actually wakes up. Here's what happened. First, you lubricated your joints by stimulating synovial fluid production. That fluid is like oil in an engine. It reduces friction and makes movement smooth instead of grinding. Second, you activated muscles from your feet to your shoulders in a logical sequence. You didn't ask your ankles to support you before they were ready. You didn't demand balance from your hips before they'd opened up. And you didn't ask your body to stand upright before your postural muscles had been activated. Third, you regulated your blood pressure gradually. When you've been lying down for 8 hours, your cardiovascular system needs time to adjust to being upright. Those final rocking movements aren't random. They're preparing your circulatory system for the demands of standing and walking. That's what prevents the dizzy, lightheaded feeling that makes so many seniors hesitant to move in the morning. And most importantly, you did all of this before demanding that your body do anything complicated like walking downstairs, bending over to pick something up, or carrying your coffee to the kitchen table. Now let me tell you about Robert, because his story is probably your story too. Robert came to me when he was 63 years old, and I'll never forget our first conversation. He sat down in my office and said, "I feel like I'm becoming a prisoner in my own body." Every single morning, he'd wake up feeling like he'd been hit by a truck. His knees ached. His lower back was so tight he couldn't stand up straight for the first 20 minutes. His shoulders felt locked in place. And the worst part? He'd just lie there in bed for an extra 15 or 20 minutes, dreading the moment when he'd have to move. He told me he felt like a rusty old car that needed a long warm-up period before it could function, and he'd completely accepted that this was just part of getting older. "This is what 60 plus feels like, right?" he asked me. "There's nothing you can do about it." But here's what Robert didn't understand, and what most seniors don't understand, that morning stiffness wasn't damage. It was a signal. His body wasn't broken. It was communicating with him, asking for something specific, and he'd spent 3 years ignoring that request. When I taught him this exact sequence, these same 6 moves we just went through, I could see the skepticism on his face. He said, "That's it? Just these little movements?" He'd been expecting some elaborate routine, some magical exercise that would fix everything. But that's not how the body works. I told him, "Robert, do these 6 moves every single morning before you get out of bed, and tell me how you feel in 2 weeks." 2 weeks later, Robert called me, and I could hear the difference in his voice before he said a word. "I don't know what you did," he told me, "but something's changed." He said he was starting his mornings without that sense of dread. The stiffness was still there, but it wasn't the wall it used to be. It was more like a gentle reminder that his body needed a little attention. But the real transformation came at the 1-month mark. Robert came back to my office and told me something I'll never forget. He said, "For 3 years, I've been waking up and immediately thinking about all the things I can't do anymore. I'd lie there and catalog everything that hurt, everything that felt broken. But this morning, I woke up and my first thought was about what I was going to make for breakfast." I can't remember the last time that happened. The stiffness that had been his constant companion, his first thought every morning, was barely noticeable anymore. He told me it felt like someone had come in the middle of the night and oiled all his joints. But here's the truth. Nobody oiled his joints. He had simply learned to listen to what his body was asking for, and he'd learned how to answer. Within 3 months, Robert was doing things he hadn't done in years. He was getting down on the floor to play with his grandkids. He was working in his garden without spending the next 2 days recovering. He took a weekend hiking trip with his wife, something he'd canceled twice before because he didn't trust his body to hold up. But here's what matters most. Robert didn't get younger. His joints didn't magically regenerate. What changed was that he stopped ignoring his body's signals and started responding to them with the exact medicine those signals were asking for: movement. This isn't just Robert's story. I've seen the same transformation dozens of times. Margaret, who's 68, told me she'd been sleeping in a recliner for 6 months because lying flat made her back hurt so much in the morning. After 4 weeks of this routine, she was back in her bed, sleeping through the night. Tom, who's 71, had gotten into the habit of holding onto furniture to move through his house in the morning because he didn't trust his balance. 2 months with this sequence, and he told me he walked to his mailbox before breakfast without a second thought. something that would have terrified him before. The pattern is always the same. Someone has accepted that morning stiffness and limited mobility are just part of aging. They've stopped listening to their body because they think it's only delivering bad news, but when they learn this sequence and use it consistently, they discover something powerful. Their body isn't giving up on them. It's been asking for help all along, and they finally learned how to respond. This isn't just stretching, it's a conversation with your body. Morning stiffness is your body saying, I need movement and circulation and gentle activation before you ask me to do complex tasks. These 6 moves are your answer. And when you answer that signal every single morning, consistently and in the right order, your body stops sending such loud distress signals. The stiffness reduces because your joints are getting the lubrication they need. Your mobility improves because you're activating your muscles in a sequence that makes sense. Your confidence grows because you're not fighting against your body anymore. You're working with it. Remember, stiffness is a signal, not a sentence. You're not broken, and you're not just old. Your body is communicating with you in the only language it has, and now you know how to respond. The seniors who stay mobile and independent into their 70s, 80s, and beyond aren't genetically lucky. They're the ones who learn to listen and answer. And that's exactly what you just learned to do. You now have the exact prescription your body has been asking for every morning. 6 moves, 5 minutes, done before you even start your day. Do this every single morning. Your body sends that signal daily, so your answer should be daily too. The difference between the seniors who stay mobile and those who don't isn't genetics or luck. It's whether they answer their body's signals or ignore them. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos on staying strong and mobile after 60.